Hello, this week I'm chatting about control and surrender, mostly because that is the lesson that is coming at me right now. So I don't feel like it's fully resolved. Listen to me. Oh. You know how it is when you just see your own bullshit and you don't really like it. It's okay, isn't it? I think when I was younger, when I was a child, I was so in control mode and I was so into control that I just squeezed the love out of everything. And I always remember that feeling when I would have such an out of body experience and such a beyond experience when I was out of control. But I just couldn't let myself get out of control because it was so scary. And yeah, I was just a control freak for ages. I'm sure people out there can understand. And then I kind of went into this other mode of like not taking any responsibility and being quite out of control, like when I was in my youth, in my risk-taking era. That's a shit time, isn't it? I've got kids now. I've got one child at that age, between 14 and 24. And it's just like, just look back at what I was up to in that period and just think, oh, now I'm so grateful that I see it's just a developmental phase. But at the time, really was just taking it so personally. So then there just comes a delicate balance between how much control, how that is actually responsibility rather than control, and also being able to surrender. And I think this does tie back in with something I talked about a few weeks ago about the ephemeral nature of things and the ephemeral nature of plans. However, I am aware that as a mother, I surrender a lot. Like mothers have to surrender so much. I mean, I guess you don't have to, but I do surrender my desires, my will, my oomph, so that I can be just available for the kids and available for them to have their will and their autonomy in a world where they often don't have that, where they're sent to school and told to sit down and they're told what to do all day. So when they get home, I do try to cultivate a space where they can have autonomy, where there's a lot of safety for them and they trust that they can assert themselves and express themselves. And so what that requires is a whole ton of surrender. And then when it comes to my personal relationship with my partner, I don't want to surrender anymore. You know, I get really, I get a strong desire to have my autonomy and my time. And because he's an adult, then I sometimes just assert that over him. And in my business as well, I mean, there's so much I have to surrender because if I push, it feels disgusting. It just feels disgusting to be in business and to be feeling really scarce and craving for people to buy offers and just longing for things to happen. And that's just gross. And I've learned over time that maintaining my energy field so that it's wholesome and magnetic and delicious and fun to be around instead is much more important than, well, it's more important than anything else, really. However, to get things done in my business, I do have to have some degree of structure so that I can get things done. Like I'm about to publish a book. It's in with Kindle at the moment, and that didn't happen because I surrendered completely on a day-to-day level. That happened because each week I have 1 hour in my calendar where I write one blog with a view to turning it into a book chapter. And I think that's my appreciation, is noticing, does this need surrender or does this need control? Does this need responsibility or does this need releasing and just surrender? I think surrender is the best word. And I think sometimes I get really pissed off by the word surrender because I do surrender a lot as a parent and I know it's a phase and I know that it will change soon. So I'm trying to surrender to the surrender so that I'm not like an empty nester who feels really morbid and like directionless because I didn't just appreciate my parenting when I was in it. And so as a business person, I know that if you're listening to this, you're probably quite a free spirit, you're probably quite a wild woman, and that you feel that order and control stifles your creativity or limits you in some way. And I definitely relate to that. And I think it's that fine line. I've really learned this from my mentor, George Cow, the fine line between creating some structure and then having some surrender in that as well. So what I mean is, in my calendar, I have an hour for blogging or book writing. So I show up in that hour, I've got my Google Doc open, I'm going to do some writing, but I don't say what I'm going to write about. So that's where the surrender comes in. I have a big list of ideas, and I can write about one of those ideas, or I can write about whatever idea is on top on the day. And so I think that's that balance of control and surrender. I've taken responsibility, I've got a plan, I've got something I'm working towards. I also drew the Chariot today in my tarot, which is about life direction and having will and having a wish that you're going to work towards. So there is that I did have a wish to write a book. And in the moment, it was very easy for me to show up each week and just write. Sometimes only 20 minutes, and then publish that on my blog, and now it's all come together as a book. So things can happen, but it does require both. And over time, I've been able to put that in place for myself. And I'm not saying that you need to do it the way I did it. Ultimately, your business is got to work for you, and you have to find a way that works for you. I'm just saying, if you think that a little more structure is negative and that it's going to stifle you, I hear you, I relate to that, and I know from experience that just that little bit of control, and so it's the control surrender balance that's going to make all the difference. So I hope this was helpful. I really appreciate your awareness and presence with this, and I'm sending you a lot of compassionate love as we travel on this journey of growing our businesses together. Hope you have a really beautiful day, and I'll see you soon. Bye.